New York and would-be boxing champions of tomorrow go all out for future fame in the Golden Gloves tournament. Young Ed Loy goes down before the attack of Tom Richardson in a preliminary bout. In just a moment...
Picture this. A world where fans can tune into a high-stakes fight, a blockbuster boxing match, or even a highly anticipated concert, all from the comfort of their couch. Just one click, a fee, and the event is all yours. That's pay-per-view, or PPV, a model that has revolutionized how we watch events and built empires. In fact, modern PPV events generate millions with every broadcast. But beneath the glitz and glamour lies a story riddled with controversy. From skyrocketing prices to revenue disputes and claims of exploitation, PPV hasn't always been a fan favorite. So where did it all begin and how does this model work? Let's dive into the history, structure, and finance of PPV and explore the controversies that have defined it. The concept of PPV dates back to the early days of television. As far back as the 1950s, TV networks were looking for ways to turn broadcasts into a profit center, but the idea was risky. Who would pay extra for something they could watch for free with just an antenna? The answer was almost no one. But a turning point came in the 1970s with the rise of cable. Suddenly, it was possible to offer niche events, boxing matches, exclusive concerts to captive audience willing to pay for access to content they couldn't get anywhere else. The first major PPV event in the United States took place in 1975 with the Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier Thriller in Manila. This was boxing at its most legendary and it was priced at about $10. Back then, PPV buys were in the thousands, a far cry from the millions we see today. Yet this event set the stage for what PPV would become, a highly profitable model that could turn a single broadcast into millions of dollars. So how does the PPV model actually work? At its core, PPV is a revenue-sharing structure that involves multiple parties. The content provider, such as a sports league or event promoter, the distributor, cable and satellite providers or streaming platforms, and of course the fans. When fans purchase access to a PPV event, the revenue is divided among these parties. Typically, the content provider receives the lion's share of the revenue, sometimes up to 50 to 70%, while the distributor takes a cut, usually around 30 to 50%. Each deal can vary widely, especially when it comes to high-profile events. For example, top boxing promotions often negotiate even higher percentages, arguing that their star power justifies the larger revenue split. But this structure can also create tension. Distributors argue that they handle the infrastructure and marketing and sometimes believe they deserve a bigger share. While the content providers invest heavily in talent and production, claiming they bring the real value to the event. This revenue-sharing model is crucial to understanding the business of PPV and a common source of controversy in negotiations. Over the years, some PPVs have not only shattered records, but become cultural moments in their own right. Let's look at the top 3 PPV events from each decade, how much they cost, and just how many people were willing to pay. In the 1980s, it was all about boxing and wrestling. At the top was WrestleMania 3 in 1987, drawing in 1 million buys at around $15 per purchase. Next was the Hagler versus Leonard fight in 1987, generating over $70 million at $29.95 per buy. And we can't forget the Tyson versus Spinks match in 1988, which cost viewers $29.95 and brought in over 700,000 buys. In the 1990s, the PPV crown went to boxing. The Tyson versus Holyfield 2 bite fight in 1997 was infamous and raked in about 1.99 million buys at $49.95 per purchase. Second, Holyfield versus Foreman in 1991 drew in around 1.45 million buys at a similar price. Finally, WrestleMania the 15th in 1999 saw a peak in wrestling's PPV popularity, with fans paying $34.95 for over 800,000 buys. In the 2000s, the industry was dominated by Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather versus De La Hoya in 2007 set records with 2.4 million buys at $54.95. Not far behind was Tyson versus Lewis in 2002 with over 1.9 million buys at $54.95. The third was Mayweather versus Hatton in 2007, which also charged $54.95, drawing in 1.4 million buys. In the 2010s, Mayweather kept his grip on the top, with the Mayweather versus Pacquiao fight in 2015 setting an all-time record at 4.6 million buys for $99.95. Second was Mayweather versus McGregor in 2017, which drew in 4.3 million buys, also at $99.95. And third, UFC broke into the top with UFC 229, Khabib versus McGregor in 2018, hitting 2.4 million buys at around $64.99. One of the most notorious controversies in PPV history involved World Championship Wrestling, or WCW, in the late 1990s. At the time, WCW was competing fiercely with the WWF, now WWE, for wrestling supremacy, and their PPV events were essential to this rivalry. But one PPV event in particular became infamous: 1998's Halloween Havoc. Due to a scheduling mishap, WCW's Halloween Havoc went over its allotted time, and cable providers cut off the broadcast before the event's main match aired. Fans who paid around $30 were outraged, left in the dark just as the show was reaching its peak. To make matters worse, WCW management was often criticised for putting profits over fan satisfaction. Controversial endings and unpredictable storytelling left many viewers feeling exploited, fueling a reputation that PPV events were becoming more about maximising revenue than delivering quality entertainment. WCW's missteps ultimately led to a sharp decline in PPV buys, and within a few years the company collapsed. This incident became a cautionary tale about the delicate balance between fan experience and financial gain. To this day, the Halloween Havoc debacle remains a symbol of how the PPV model can backfire when the focus on revenue outweighs the importance of quality and satisfaction. Today, PPV is still thriving, especially in combat sports like boxing and MMA. But as the model has evolved, so have the controversies. Prices have continued to climb, with some events now costing $80 or even $100. For many fans, these high costs feel like a barrier, especially when they have access to more affordable alternatives on streaming platforms. And while hardcore fans still pay for the exclusive experience, others are turning to piracy as a protest against what they see as price gouging. Piracy has become a major issue in the PPV industry. With the rise of streaming technology, illegal streams of PPV events are rampant and millions of dollars in revenue are lost each year. In response, broadcasters and event organisers have fought back hard, imposing strict legal penalties and partnering with tech companies to shut down pirated streams. But the debate over PPV pricing rages on, with fans feeling that the industry's attempts to curb piracy often overlook the core issue: affordability. In the end, the PPV model has transformed the entertainment industry, providing a lucrative revenue stream and giving fans access to unforgettable moments. But it's also a model built on a delicate balance of value and cost, a balance that is constantly being tested. Today, some fans have found a solution: heading to sports bars, where they can watch expensive events like UFC fights at a fraction of the cost. And as new challenges emerge, one question remains: will PPV continue to adapt, or will fans finally decide that the cost is just too high? If you've ever paid for a PPV event or streamed it online, you've been part of this story. Thanks for joining us as we explored the world of pay-per-view. Let us know in the comments: do you think PPV is worth the price, or is it time for a new model? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more insights on the business behind the entertainment.